The embargo on drive impressions for Sonata, 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time next Monday, which is July 17th. Okay? You'll drive Elantra GT tomorrow, and you're free to write about that anytime that you can. No embargo on that. A couple things in the room I want to point out to you. Take a look at them when we're done here for a few minutes if you already haven't. The Harman display is quite interesting. Miles is here to do demos with Alexa and Google Home, and we've got some boards that'll help you understand some of the information on the vehicles on Sonata that you'll be driving today. The jump drives, we put the jump drives out.
Yes.
That has a lot of good info. Today's presentation, the whole presentation's on there. News releases are on there. Tons of photos, including photos that have been taken here locally by David Dewhurst. David is here today, as is Jim Fleming on the video side. If you need something special, just let us know, let them know, and they'll help you with some video and photography needs as you need them. What else do I have? Kevin Rivera and Peter Pack are both here from Harman, back in the room. They'll be with us all day. Spend some time with them if you can. The hardest working PR team in the industry is here today. Miles, Lori, Derek, Haley, Ariel, me. We're here to help you. Let us know what we can do to do that. Three presenters today, and I'm delighted that we have them here. Mike O'Brien is the Vice President of Corporate Planning or Corporate Digital and Product Corporate and Digital Planning. Mike is a dream come true to the PR folks because he's here to help anytime we ask him to, and you're going to love spending time with him today. Make sure you do that. Chris Chapman is the chief designer for Hyundai, based in Irvine, not too far from here. I've worked with a lot of designers over the years, and I'm telling you this, and it's true, Chris is my favorite. He's great. You're going to love him. Make sure you get time with Chris.
Am I a dream?
You're a dream.
He's a dream.
You're dreamy. Dreamy. Dreamer. John Sean is the product manager for Sonata. A lot of you know John. John's helped us out in this very room on a lot of occasions because we've been here with Sonata and some of his vehicles in the past. John will be our third presenter today, and I love John Sean. So there you go, John. Hey, when we're done with the presentations, the three presenters will come up here. We'll do a Q&A in this room. If you don't mind, hold your questions until that time, and we'll answer them. And after the Q&A, I'll just have some real quick final words to get us out to the cars and begin the real fun part of the day. Okay? So with that, here's Michael O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
And I'm not the best dressed guy. That would be Mr. Chapman. So you'll be a few minutes with me. I'll be very brief. And then Chris will get to speak to you about the work he did, his team. So Chris is over our North American design group, which is up in Irvine, a few miles north of here. And he'll talk about all the work they did to redesign this car. And then John Shun who's a product manager for this car, will talk about all the things that make this car work so well. So they'll be the three presenters today. And just a little bit about my title. So originally I came back to Hyundai to be over product planning and corporate planning, which is market research and sales planning and pricing and brand strategy. But then we learned something, and that is that the whole industry changed underneath us. Vehicle IT came into the picture. So years ago, the IT group was off in the corner, and they made sure your laptop ran. They made sure that payroll was met every week. And they made sure that all those reports that you got every week worked properly. But then something happened. The IT center of mass moved from the building, or headquarters building, and it moved out somewhere in the cloud. And it basically became something in between our customers and our cars and our enterprise and our dealers. And so our company responded to that about a year and a half ago, and they moved IT from the back room really to the center of our business, which is really what is happening in our industry, and the transformation of our industry right now is moving IT from the back room of our business to really the front of our business. And it's really all about how our customers interface with our cars and how our cars interface with the environment around us. So it's just a signal of change. So let's talk about change for a minute. We'll talk a little bit about what's been going on in the light vehicle industry. I know you guys are nice early in the morning, so you want to write down a bunch of small numbers. The industry is definitely flattening. There's no question about it. When you think about it, all those things that we read about a year ago about short supply of CUV, short supply of SUV, short supply of pickup truck, that's changed. Now the day supply of pickup and CUV and SUV are growing month by month, just like cars were a year ago. The days to turn for CUV, SUV, pickup are also growing. So the market's clearly beginning to flatten. When you look at the J.D. Power health metrics, you'll see numbers like the percent of MSRP that's incentive money. Well, that's growing for all categories, not just for cars. So CUV, SUV, and pickup, percent of incentives over MSRP has also been growing. So not danger, but it's certainly a signal that the market is beginning to plateau and flatten. So there's a little bit of extra effort required in all categories, not just the car categories we've been reading about for the last year or so. When we look at the first 6 months of this year, though, you'll see that the industry itself has actually declined by 2.1%. That's compared to the first 6 months of 2016. Hyundai has declined 7.4%. And when you look at the bottom of this page, what you'll see is it's really all about, if you look over to the right-hand side, it's really about our change in position on fleet. So as long as there's not too many cars in the market, production and demand are balanced, our fleet customers, big rental companies, Enterprise, Hertz, Avis, their purchase price is going to be relatively competitive, and manufacturers can make some money selling to the big fleet customers. But when there's too much production, of course, the fleet customers are very clever, and they're going to offer less money for those cars. And so we made a concerted effort actually to cut our fleet sales to reflect the fact that those sales aren't as profitable now as they were. And so our actual sales performance on a retail basis has gone up 1.3% for the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year. However, our fleet sales have gone down over 29%. And so that's what's reflected on the upper left-hand corner of our sales being down 7.4 total. It's actually a reflection only of fleet reduction. So, when you look, let me go back up for a moment. You look at truck and SUV sales performance, you can see there the industry has gone up about 3.8%, where you can see Hyundai has had an increase of 11.6%. And that's just basically our production shift, moving more and more of our production capacity towards SUV products. And of course, the Tucson's been the winner in terms of gaining the most volume and share in that area. In terms of mid-sized car, the mid-sized car share was at a high of 16.1% in 2012. It's shown a somewhat steady decline down to about 12 points of the light vehicle market now. So in 2012, it was about 2.34 million vehicles in the market, and now represents about 2.1 vehicles in the light vehicle market for last year. And the forecast is to flatten down to about 1.8 million. This is the IHS forecast taking you out to 2020. And of course, there's not a lot of certainty here. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's using their best guess, and it is a guess. When you look at the category ranking at the bottom of the page, you can see that midsize car back in 2012 was the #1 vehicle category in terms of volume and share, followed by compact car and then large pickup. And you can see in 2017, just calendar year to date, now midsize cars dropped to #4, still nearly 11% of the light vehicle market, so still well over 2 million units, a healthy portion of the market, but certainly a notable decline. Now large pickup is #1 at 13.3%, followed by compact SUV, CUV, which would be our Tucson, RAV4 and products like that, and then compact car, and then midsize SUV. So certainly a shift, but again, when you look at the top 5 here, these are all very large volume categories. So while there's definitely a market shift going on, there's still plenty of volume in all of these categories. Just to look at an analogy. So, industry analysts back in 2010 were all wondering what was going to happen with full-size pickup truck. Full-size pickup truck volume nearly cut in half between 2005 and 2010. Nearly cut in half. Went from 2.5 million or actually about 2.3 million, all the way down to about 1.3 million units. And at that time, of course, industry analysts wondered what happened to all those recreational truck buyers. Were they going to come back to the market? And of course, part of this was the economy as well, so just overall market shrinkage. In fact, what you see is a lot of that market has recovered, well over 2 points of that market's recovered. And the point is simply this, that there's many factors that determine category rise and category decline over time, whether it's regulatory, geopolitical events, price of fuel, price of insurance, and overall product relative competitiveness. And we see as the mid-sized market is transforming, manufacturers like us and others are focusing on making the mid-sized car a more competitive offering. And so we have to think about what are those things that make mid-size great and focus on them. And in the end, we'll see some stabilizing. It's not really anybody's guess where that's going to end up, but certainly when you look at IHS, they're saying still well over 10% market looking out to 2020. So when you look at the good things going on in mid-size, you can see what customers are saying. So in the upper left-hand corner, so customers returning to market own a four-door sedan, a mid-size car. 63% of them say they're going to buy another mid-size car. So that's still quite a few. It's about 2/3 of those buyers are still going to buy another mid-size car. And about 19% of them say they're going to buy a CUV or an SUV. So that's quite a bit of migration as well. When you flip over to the right-hand side of the page, what's happening with compact SUV owners? So that'd be Tucson, RAV4, products like that. And you can see there, 57% of them are going to come back and buy another SUV or CUV product of any category. And about 20% of them are going to come back to sedan. So again, there's going to be movement back and forth. One thing that we forget to check when we think about the industry in general is that people think about their household fleet. So generally speaking, I think we all know in your own experience, people like to have a car that's more practical. It might be a CUV. They want to have a car that's better for commuting or taking the kids to school. That might be a sedan. So you're going to see more of this mixed fleet debate going on. When you look at purchase reasons at the bottom of the page, on the left-hand side, you can see people are buying mid-sized cars because of their much better fuel economy, their experience with mid-sized cars in general. Many customers will tell you they like secure storage. They don't like people to be able to see what's in their trunk, as you can with some CUVs. They like the value proposition of mid-sized cars. They like the design of a sedan, particularly mid-sized cars, and then ride comfort is another reason that they're selecting these cars. When you look at customers that are buying SUV and CUV products, they're buying them because of their sense of better performance and hazardous driving conditions, the practical nature of the storage area of a CUV over sedan, safety features. Of course, that will close in the very near future. It's more of an image of safety, the big wheelhouse gap. It just seems more durable to many customers. The four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive capabilities is another reason people select these products, particularly in areas where there's inclement weather. So clearly there's going to be a role for both categories moving forward. Let's talk a little bit about Sonata. So this is a 7th generation product that is going through its freshening that you'll be driving today. Basically, we've been building the last several generations right here in Alabama, and the only Sonatas that are now imported are hybrid and plug-in hybrid models. The remaining production, which is the majority of our production, is coming from Alabama. We've sold over 2.8 million Sonatas in the U.S. market since we introduced 1989. We introduced with a 2nd generation Sonata globally. It's about 31% of all of our sales here in the United States. It has the largest awareness of any product we sell in this market, nearly approaching the Hyundai brand itself. So it really represents our brand in the United States in terms of awareness. And accounts about 18% of our total conquest sales. So remember, the market is very simple. People either add a vehicle to their household, that's an additional vehicle. They either buy another vehicle of the same make, that's a loyalty purchase, or they replace a vehicle they own of one brand with a vehicle of another brand, and that's a conquest. So about almost 20% of the people that buy Sonata are replacing another vehicle brand. So that's very significant for us. And as I mentioned, all of these Sonata productions coming from Alabama with the exception of a hybrid and plug-in hybrid. So let's look at Sonata sales performance. You can see the big jump back in 1998, 99. That was with the introduction of America's Best Warranty, which we still hold today. And that's been a mainstay of confidence in the marketplace, particularly with Sonata. It's brought many customers to Sonata, and it's brought many customers back to Sonata. In the last few years, you can see between 2011 and currently, we've been moving between 10 and 12% market share during that period, roughly 200,000 unit sales during that same period. So a pretty steady period for us in terms of the last generation and this current generation product in terms of volume and market share. When you think about this car, we realized when we launched this car that one of the things that made the previous generation Sonata so well accepted was its head-turning, striking design. People drove by when they saw it in the parking lot and they turned their head and said, "What's that?" And we had many, many conquest sales. In fact, it was the best conquest product for us ever, was the last generation Sonata. Brought more conquest customers to us than any other product had done up to that point. And so we wanted to bring back that same kind of head-turning, striking reaction to the car as you either passed it on the freeway or see it in the parking lot. And so Chris's team was focused on reinvigorating this car with what we would call internally striking design, head-turning design that's going to bring customers back to our showrooms that remember our 2011 product, our 2010 product, and want something that will really turn heads. And so that was the focus of this redesign, is to really restore some of that excitement. And you can see from a technical perspective, unlike traditional midlife freshening, we made a very, very heavy investment in this vehicle. We changed all of the sheet metal in the front view. We changed the deck lid in the rear. We changed all of the bumper trim and lamps. We completely changed the image of the car in terms of how you naturally view it. We moved the license plate. We went from a small grille to a large grille image. We really changed a lot of things about the car, and Chris will talk about that in just a moment. And it was really all about changing the basic footprint of the car and give it a completely different complexion in terms of how the market will view this car moving forward. So with that, I'm going to ask Chris Chapman to give you a good description of exactly what that's all about. Chris?
Thank you. Morning, everyone. Morning. Move this. I get to draw. Is this on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, welcome everyone. Again, my name is, hello. Is this working? There we go. I am Chris. Hello, my name is Chris. Good, it works. When we set out to do this vehicle, let's see if I can go up to the first slide and we look at this sort of inspirational image of this Sprinter. Sonata has always been known for, especially the 2010-2011 year model, as sort of this four-door coupe. It was one of the first, if not the first, front-wheel drive mid-size sedan that had this four-door coupe kind of silhouette. And when you sort of look at the car in terms of its profile, coming down to a very nice sort of sleek profile. One of the things that it did was it really lowered the roof in the rear occupant area, and because of this maximum refresh vehicle, the areas of concentration in the front and the rear were areas where we really tried to extend the hood of the car, whereas the previous generation car was sort of the slope nose area. We've extended this sort of hood area to sort of make an upright front kind of grille area. And that sort of brings this sort of Sprinter aspect. As soon as they're kind of out of the blocks, they kind of have this sort of angle with their heads sort of up and their legs sort of this kind of sort of gesture. So the rear of the car, we angled towards the rear and back, and then the front of the car, we brought sort of the head up, looking forward, and giving this very, very assertive kind of stance in profile. Now we have a 6-window type of setup in the Sonata. What this means is the DLO in the back of the car coming forward right here represents basically what's happening. The DLO ends towards the rear of the tire here. And that really extends the car and really accentuates the the profile of the vehicle. And then we do this sort of signature element from the belt line here, running through the hood shut line.